911, where's your emergency?
Yes. I woke up this morning and my daughter was not in the house. I don't know if she walked out or I don't know what's going on, but she's not here.
How old is your daughter?
She's 5.
5?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. What time did you wake up? When did you...
I saw her at 5:30 last night.
5:30 last night. Is that when you put her to bed?
Yes, ma'am. No, when she went back to bed.
Okay. That was 5 this morning. Is that what you're telling me?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Were there any doors open or anything like that?
She know how to unlock the front door.
Okay. What is her name?
Shaniya Davis.
In the next few minutes, you'll discover that while all children deserve mothers, not all mothers are deserving of their children. On the 10th of November, 2009, in the quiet town of Fayetteville, North Carolina, a tragedy unfolded that would shock the world. A community would rally, a nation would grieve, and countless hearts would be broken. This is the heartbreaking story of Shaniya Davis, a 5-year-old girl full of life, innocence, and potential, brutally betrayed by those who were supposed to protect her. What happened to Shaniya would expose the darkest sides of humanity, leaving a painful question lingering. How could this happen, and why? Shaniya Davis was a child who seemed to radiate pure joy. Born on June 14, 2004, she had an infectious smile that could light up even the darkest of rooms. Her laughter was a melody, her energy boundless, and her presence unforgettable. To those who knew her, Shaniya wasn't just a little girl. She was a beacon of hope, the kind of child who reminded you of the goodness in the world. She loved to dance, her tiny feet barely keeping up with the rhythm as she twirled with delight. Her curiosity knew no bounds. Whether she was playing with her toys or chasing butterflies in the backyard, Shaniya saw the world through a lens of wonder. Friends and family often spoke of her kindness, how she'd share her favorite snacks with other kids or offer the biggest hug when someone was feeling down. Despite living in Fayetteville, North Carolina, a community that often struggled with violence, substance abuse, and poverty, Shaniya's innocence was a stark contrast to her surroundings. In a place where hope sometimes felt scarce, she was a shining light. She had dreams as big as her smile, dreams of becoming a teacher one day so she could help other children learn and grow. Her father, Bradley, described her as his little angel, the glue that held him together during life's toughest moments. She was the reason he smiled, the reason he believed in brighter days ahead. Before Shaniya's birth, her father, Bradley Lockhart, suffered a great personal loss. In March 1998, his wife of 7 years, Vicki Sue Lockhart, was tragically murdered along with her 19-year-old sister, Channel Coleman, and another man, David Lee Epps. The incident occurred during a home invasion on Graham Road in Fayetteville, where the victims were bound, gagged, and fatally shot. This devastating event left Bradley to navigate life as a single father to their 3 children, grappling with unimaginable grief. Years later, Bradley met Antoinette Davis, and their relationship led to the birth of Shaniya in 2004. Despite the shadows of his past, Shaniya became a beacon of hope and healing for Bradley. He cherished their time together, often engaging in activities that showed their close bond. Whether it was reading bedtime stories or playing in the park, their connection was palpable and profound. Initially, Bradley had primary custody of Shaniya, providing her with a stable and loving home. However, as Shaniya grew, he recognized the importance of her developing a relationship with her biological mother. Despite his concerns about Antoinette's lifestyle, including her struggles with substance abuse, Bradley allowed Shaniya to spend time with her mother, hoping it would foster a meaningful bond between them. This decision, born out of a desire for Shaniya to experience her mother's love, would later become a source of profound regret for Bradley, as the events that unfolded would shatter the lives of all involved. Antoinette Nicole Davis, born in 1985, faced numerous challenges throughout her life. Growing up in Fayetteville, North Carolina, She struggled with substance abuse and financial instability, which often left her in precarious situations. These hardships contributed to a history of neglect, raising concerns among her family members and the community. Residing in a mobile home on Sleepy Hollow Drive, Fayetteville, Antoinette lived with her sister, Brenda Davis. The household was marked by instability, with multiple individuals frequently coming and going, creating a chaotic environment. This lack of stability further exacerbated Antoinette's struggles, making it difficult for her to provide a secure home for her children. Despite being Shaniya's biological mother, Antoinette's bond with her daughter was strained. Reports suggest that she was often neglectful, leaving Shaniya in precarious situations. Family members expressed concerns about Antoinette's ability to care for her daughter, noting instances where Shaniya's well-being appeared to be compromised. In the months leading up to the tragedy, there were indications that Antoinette's lifestyle was deteriorating. She faced mounting financial pressures, and her substance abuse issues seemed to intensify. These factors contributed to a tumultuous environment, ultimately leading to decisions that would have devastating consequences for Shaniya. In the early hours of November 10, 2009, a chilling sequence of events began that would forever alter the Fayetteville, North Carolina community. Antoinette Davis, mother of 5-year-old Shaniya Davis, reported her daughter missing from their residence. She claimed that she had last seen Shaniya that morning and had no knowledge of her whereabouts. The initial call to authorities set off a rapid and comprehensive response. Law enforcement swiftly issued an Amber Alert, mobilizing resources and alerting the public to the missing child. The community, gripped by concern, rallied together, organizing searches and vigils in hopes of finding young Shaniya. As hours flew by, the urgency intensified, and the search efforts expanded, encompassing local neighborhoods, wooded areas, and beyond. The collective hope was to bring Shaniya home safely, but as the investigation progressed, a more sinister narrative began to emerge, casting a shadow over the initial optimism. The search for Shaniya Davis was relentless. Every lead was followed, every tip investigated. Hour after hour, hope wavered, but the determination of law enforcement never faltered. Then, on November 11, 2009, investigators received a tip that would change everything. The call came from a hotel employee in Sanford, North Carolina, about 30 miles from Fayetteville. The employee reported seeing a man who fit the description from the Amber Alert checking into a room with a young girl matching Shaniya's profile. Acting swiftly, detectives obtained the hotel's surveillance footage, which would become a critical piece of evidence in the case. The footage was chilling. It showed a man, later identified as Mario Andrette McNeil, casually carrying a small girl in his arms down the hotel hallway. Shaniya, dressed in a child-sized blue coat and pink shirt, appeared calm and unaware of the danger she was in. Her innocence, juxtaposed against the horrifying reality of what would happen, made the video almost unbearable to watch.
Good evening and thank you for joining us. Breaking news in the disappearance of a 5-year-old from Fayetteville. She has been seen with a man on surveillance video.
Police say the video shows the man checking into a hotel with Shaniya Davis, this little girl. Her father is now making an emotional plea for her return. WRL's Ken Smith joins us with the latest from investigators live from the Fayetteville Police Department. Ken?
Deborah and Gerald, because of that sighting, Fayetteville police believe 5-year-old Shaniya Davis is still alive. Early Tuesday morning, police say Shaniya Davis was kidnapped from her mobile home on Sleepy Hollow Drive in Fayetteville. Tonight, Fayetteville police and her family are making an impassioned plea for her safe return. Fayetteville police released pictures of surveillance video taken from a hotel in Sanford that shows a man with a little girl. Police say the little girl is 5-year-old Shaniya Davis. Police believe the little girl is with this man, Mario Andrette McNeil. After days of worrying about his little girl, Shaniya's father came forward to make an emotional plea for the return of his daughter.
I just asked that they let her go and bring her home safe. We all miss her and love her very much.
Lockhart appealed directly to McNeil to bring his daughter home. Police say McNeil checked into the hotel in Sanford with little Shaniya just after 6:11 a.m. Tuesday. Fayetteville police say the first call to report Shaniya's disappearance came in a short time later, around 6:53 a.m. Police say a tip led them to the Sanford hotel, but by the time police arrived, McNeil and the little girl was gone.
For detectives, The man in the footage was a stranger to Shaniya's world. But as they dug deeper, they uncovered a shocking connection. Mario McNeil wasn't just any random individual. He was an acquaintance of Antoinette Davis's sister, Brenda Davis. This revelation opened up a new layer to the investigation, one that pointed to a far darker motive than a random abduction. Detectives moved quickly to track McNeil down, piecing together his movements through witness accounts, receipts, cell phone records, and additional surveillance footage from the area. It didn't take long before Mario McNeil, now feeling the pressure from authorities, turned himself in for questioning. But the mystery was far from solved. Why had Shaniya been taken to a hotel nearly 30 miles away? And what role did Antoinette play in her daughter's disappearance? The breakthrough in the investigation raised as many questions as it answered. But one thing was clear. This wasn't just a case of a missing child. It was something far darker, a betrayal that would shock even the most seasoned detectives. The search for Shaniya Davis had captured the hearts of a grieving community, desperate for her safe return. But as investigators pressed forward, the story that emerged was one of unimaginable betrayal and horror. Under the weight of mounting evidence and relentless interrogation, Antoinette Davis finally confessed. The truth she revealed was almost too sickening to comprehend. She admitted that she had handed over her 5-year-old daughter, her innocent, bright-eyed little girl, to Mario McNeil to settle a $200 drug debt. $200. That's all it took for her to trade her daughter's safety, her dignity, and ultimately, her life. Antoinette's words were chilling in their simplicity, devoid of the remorse you'd expect from a mother who had just sacrificed her child. She owed money, and when she couldn't pay, she made the most horrifying decision imaginable. She offered up her own child to satisfy a man's twisted desires. It was a decision so depraved, so unfathomable, that even the most seasoned detectives were left stunned. But the horror didn't end there. Investigators pieced together McNeil's actions after he took Shaniya from her home. Surveillance footage from the Sanford Hotel showed him carrying her through the hallway, her small body cradled in his arms, completely unaware of the nightmare awaiting her. Inside that hotel room, McNeil assaulted Shaniya in one of the most heinous acts of cruelty imaginable. And when he was done, he didn't take her home. Instead, he drove her to a remote wooded area near the Lee-Harnett County line. For days, the search continued. Hope waned, but the community clung to the faintest chance of finding Shaniya alive. Then, on November 16, 2009, those hopes were extinguished. In the dense woods, search teams discovered Shaniya's lifeless body. She had been discarded like trash, her tiny frame abandoned in the cold earth. She was just 5 years old. The discovery sent shockwaves through Fayetteville and beyond. People were no longer just grieving. They were furious. Furious at Antoinette for betraying her own flesh and blood. Furious at McNeil for his monstrous actions. And furious at a system that failed to protect an innocent child from the people who were supposed to love her the most. What kind of mother could do this? What kind of human being could commit such evil?
I did the best I could with my children. I never said I was a perfect mother, but I was a good mother. I did what I had to provide for them. I did what I had to make sure they was all right, because I didn't have any help from anybody.
These were the questions echoing in the minds of everyone who heard Shaniya's story. And while the answers may never fully come, one thing was certain. This was a tragedy that would never be forgotten. The wheels of justice turned swiftly in the aftermath of Shaniya Davis's tragic death, as the legal system sought to hold those responsible accountable for their heinous actions.
WRL's Brian Mims has been in the courtroom since the start of the trial.
Justice found a way.
District Attorney Billy West called it an overwhelming mountain of evidence against Mario McNeil. The cell phone records, the DNA in a hotel room, the ridiculousness, as he put it, of McNeil's claim that he last saw Shaniya Davis at a dry cleaner in Fayetteville, where he handed her off to unknown people.
Ladies and gentlemen, they are asking you to absolutely suspend logic.
Mario and Drette McNeil faced a litany of charges: first-degree murder, first-degree kidnapping, sexual offense of a child by an adult offender, taking indecent liberties with a child, human trafficking, and subjecting the victim to sexual servitude. The evidence against him was overwhelming, including surveillance footage, forensic evidence, and his own admissions. In 2013, after a harrowing trial that laid bare the atrocities committed against young Shaniya, McNeil was found guilty on all counts. The jury, recognizing the sheer brutality and premeditation of his crimes, sentenced him to death, a rare and severe punishment reserved for the most egregious offenses. Antoinette Nicole Davis, Shaniya's mother, was charged with multiple offenses, including human trafficking, felony child abuse, prostitution, and first-degree murder. However, in a plea agreement, she accepted responsibility for her role in the events leading to her daughter's death. In 2013, she was sentenced to a prison term ranging from 17 years and 6 months to 21 years, reflecting her culpability in the betrayal and exploitation of her own child.
You could have saved your daughter's life, and you did not. You had the time, the opportunity, and the means to save Shaniya's life, and you did not. You are not a good mother. This did not have to happen. Take her away, please.
These legal proceedings provided a measure of justice for Shaniya, yet they could never restore the bright future stolen from her. The community, while finding some solace in the convictions, continued to grapple with the profound loss and the unsettling reality of the evil that had lurked within. The tragic death of 5-year-old Shaniya Davis sent shockwaves through the Fayetteville community and beyond, igniting profound grief and outrage. Vigils were held, candles were lit, and residents came together to honor her memory and grapple with the horror of her loss. These gatherings were not only acts of mourning but a rallying cry against the circumstances that allowed such a tragedy to occur. But as the community mourned, investigations revealed significant failures within the child welfare system. Reports uncovered that the Cumberland County Department of Social Services had prior interactions with Shaniya's family, but failed to act. Law enforcement had raided Antoinette Davis's home months before Shaniya's death, yet DSS was never alerted. School officials also raised concerns about Shaniya's well-being, but those warnings were not reported to Child Protective Services in time. These oversights exposed a breakdown in communication and protocol among agencies tasked with protecting vulnerable children. The public demanded accountability, prompting the State Bureau of Investigation to probe potential misconduct within DSS. The investigation revealed gaps in procedures and transparency, further fueling calls for systemic reform. In response, DSS implemented new protocols, including closer collaboration with law enforcement, improved training for social workers, and more stringent handling of abuse reports. Despite these changes, the haunting question remains: how could a system designed to safeguard children fail so catastrophically? Shaniya's case is a stark reminder of the necessity for vigilance, communication, and accountability within child welfare systems. It underscores the collective responsibility of communities and agencies to ensure no child falls through the cracks. Shaniya Davis's story has resonated far beyond Fayetteville, sparking national conversations about child protection. Her memory has inspired advocacy groups and reforms aimed at preventing similar tragedies. Annual vigils in her honor and a memorial fund dedicated to combating child exploitation stand as testaments to her lasting impact. Shaniya's life was a beacon of innocence and hope, extinguished far too soon by those who should have protected her. Her story calls on us all to speak up, act, and ensure that no child suffers such a fate again. Even in the face of unspeakable tragedy, her legacy reminds us of the power to create change and build a safer future for all children.